And here we are once again for potentially the last time tonight as we're headed into the third game, and with that the match point for Red Lions, who currently have 2 wins under their belt already.
And on one side, I can imagine Union des Ombres right now is shaking in their boots. It's the last try, basically. On the other hand, at least this time, it is their game to win. Not like the second place game where their fate was in Rift Rider's hands. So now maybe under pressure, they can get that little push over to the victory they desperately want and need.
And I think something that's gonna make or break their next game is their mental resilience, because they've had 2 games against Red Lions. They come in as the underdog, clearly coming from 2nd division. In the first game, they had a rough time versus Red Lions. Let's not hide it. Red Lions had a very, very strong game there. The second game, however, they valiantly fought until the end. Like, they had a really good early to mid game in that second game tonight, which should definitely boost their confidence going into it. But afterwards, losing such a game can also be really rough. So I think a big question is, how do they handle this situation? How do they handle the fact that they currently have not won a game in this matchup? Are they going to be bolstered by the fact that the previous game started off really well? Or are they going to be crushed by the fact that in the end they didn't win? I think that's what's going to make a huge difference in this game.
Yeah, and also now the pressure to perform. Some people crumble under it, others use it to their advantage. So here's the question: how Union des Ombres will deal with this potentially last game that they have to win if they want to keep their chances alive.
Yes, definitely. For now, the first few bonds are absolutely the same as we saw in the previous game. We have the Zeri, the Nidalee, and the Lilia on the sides of Union des Ombres. On the sides of Red Lions, we have the Kazakhs, the Camille, and the Yone, which has not changed since the start of this evening. This means that the Jin, for example, is still open, which worked really well for Union des Ombres in this early game. And even in the late game, the Jin was really strong still, and Red Lions didn't always easily get to him. Even if Zeki tried, it wasn't always very easy to get there. So I think it's still a very staple pick they could go for. They picked the Talia here, which was picked in the previous game by Red Lions. So taking it away from them and putting it in their own pocket here.
I think they're trying really to control the jungler from Red Lions that has proven in 2 games to be one of the key assets to turn the games around. His damage on that Talia was insane at some point, just one-shotting Zeref. But also now potentially going for brand jungle, so not leaving out the damage, going for more carry potential for himself.
It worked really well for them in both games, I'm not gonna lie. Game 1, it was definitely quite a lot this Nidalee that just one-shotted people left and right almost. And even Game 2, it was he who had the kills in the earlier stages of the game. He was the saving grace for Red Lions, I would definitely say, until Zeki started to pick up a few kills himself and was able to fend on his own.
We're going even more aggressive. We went from hyper carry Jinx to Jin and now to Zamira. Kind of escalating in ADC aggression right here. Maybe really hungry to carry these games from the ADC position into an Ezreal though, who is notorious for having a really good early game pressure and then having a very safe game altogether.
Yeah, and we've seen Zeki a few times on this Ezreal as well. It's a champion that he does play. It's a champion he does play quite well. We've seen, even in this best of 5 series already, we've seen that Ito was able to leave the lane, and Zeki was relatively fine in his positions, usually. So he's the kind of AD carrier who fends off enemies on his own quite well, and with an Ezreal, that makes it even easier for him.
Yeah, and now also the Jannar getting hovered, or actually locked in already, because the timer is for the second ban phase. Very hard to get onto that bot lane again. Playing it rather safe and maybe letting the jungler take over the game for them, and then just being a really good backup to that aggressive jungle playstyle. And actually now the Ornn ban, I think, is new. Before we had the Syndra and the Sylas. And now it's the Sylas and the Ornn. Maybe not wanting to face it on that top lane.
Yeah, probably taking that away. I mean, Ornn is always such a strong pick. He has this super long range engage potential that he can just follow up. He's a beefy frontliner. Most importantly, he's got the item upgrades in the later stages of the game that just give you this edge over the enemy no matter what. Seems like Red Lions might be aiming to get into those later stages of the games. They pick up the Galio here for the mid lane. Got a lot of potential to follow up, to engage here.
And also very annoying for that Samira. If she gets caught in the taunt when her stacks are up, she will lose quite a lot of momentum, not being able to get that ultimate out, which will already be hard into Ezreal Janna because they can get away quite easily. And now the Galio to prevent her. Oh, and now the Azir pick, which you haven't seen in the best of 5 right now, but have seen him play it in the Division 2. I think we had 2 mid laners that were quite proficient in playing that Azir. Generally just a very strong scaling mid laner, opposed to Samira, who will be looking for this early game advantages, all that she can get.
Yes, and finishing off with the Cassante for the top lane. Against whom they can go for a counter pick. They decide to go for the Poppy here. Coming in for Bowser on the top lane. And you can see, I like to see the Aze coming in, but because this just makes the Galio worthwhile because of his natural magic resistance here. With only one AP damage source, you could say, well, this is a bit of wasted potential. But with 2 very strong, huge magic damage dealers like the Talia and the Aze, that does come in handy in the end for Red Lions.
Also the taunt still also being quite useful against the Samira that doesn't just want to auto-attack you like a Jinx would want to, but wants to get her combo out. And it looks like Union des Ombres composition will be very hard to execute skill level wise already, and then with the picks of Red Lion it's going to make it even harder because you have the Galio and the Poppy that can just interrupt most of Union des Ombres, I believe, and then Ezreal and Janna that can just stay rather safe, and then Brand as the damage backup once maybe Union des Ombres has engaged into unfavorable position there. Interesting draft choice here from Union des Ombres, because really going all out, maybe wanting to show that they can perform really well on these high skill cap champions. But now it will be to see if they can also execute those champions well versus a composition drafted to counter every aspect of them, basically.
Yeah, we'll have to see how they fare in this game with this. What I think, I was saying something and then my brain just jumped on something completely different. This happens, don't worry. We saw so much changes in the overall drafts over the course of these 3 games. Like no draft, and only the ban phase went almost exactly the same every single time. But for what they picked in the end, there have been so many changes over and over again, and I just love to see that. There's constant adaptation coming in here. Constantly teams saying, okay, this didn't work out, let's swap it up. And it's really interesting to see because a team like Red Lions, for example, they've had two comps that in the end worked quite well for them, right? They won both games. Very often what you see is teams stay on these comps. They're like, okay, it works. They did their answer to it didn't work as well as they might have anticipated. Let's stick with it. And no, Red Lions says, actually, we're going to pick completely different things once again. We just keep the support the same. Union des Ombres says the same by keeping the Thresh. And for the rest, let's just jumble it completely up. And every single game is so different because of that.
But I also think here Union des Ombres made them have to change some things up because the brand was an answer to getting the Talia taken away on that first pick here. But then also maybe the Vayne did not perform as expected in the last game, so just going for something a bit safer on Ezreal that doesn't need to get onto people's faces to deal all of his damage.
Yeah.
So I think also Red Lions just adapting to what they're seeing picked and reacting to Union des Ombres like counter picking basically, or picking the Talia away from them because they don't want to see Thunder Rookie.
Tundra Rookie. Yeah.
Tundra Rookie on the carry jungler, but he finds yet another jungler to carry from with Brand also in solo queue being very annoying to deal with. No matter what stage of the game, his damage is quite high.
Yeah, we've seen quite, I don't know how it was in Div 2, we've seen quite a lot of Brand jungle in the first week of Div 1, and then in the middle he suddenly disappeared, and then around the end, Brand started coming back up quite a lot in the games again. Definitely showed that it can be a huge threat. What I really liked about the Brand picks was that he's got so much clearing potential already super early in the game. And he can be such a threat when it comes to objective control, because the Void Grubs for him are like just a walk in the park. Other champions, they have a bit of struggle because you take one down, the others get cheats. Brand just doesn't care. He does his AoE either way. He's gonna destroy them all at the same time almost. And I think that's what's super threatening about him. Especially, it's just the speed at which he clears through the jungle is absolutely terrifying.
And later on, his damage potential is just as terrifying in those team fights. Get one good ultimate off, it will most likely destroy the backline of any team, especially here on Union des Ombres. The ADC will want to be in your face, so it will not be hard to target her. But she does have, of course, also her W ability, which can it block a Brand ultimate? It should be able to block it, because it should be a projectile, but still timing that right in a big fight where you also have a Galio and a Poppy running at you will be quite hard.
Yes, that's true. You've got a bunch of things you need to be careful of here. That's going to be rough. I have to see how they fare in this game. Overall, we've talked about left and right a bit. I think something that hasn't been discussed too much is the top lane matchup. Cassante versus the Poppy. I know we've seen quite a lot of Poppy in the first division, to Fresh Thanos delight, because he is a Poppy OTP. What's your take on that matchup? Do you have any insights you think you could share here?
I don't have a lot of insights. Our jungler plays a lot of Poppy, also a Poppy OTP basically, so it was banned for 90% of the games. But when I saw him play it, if you know how to control the champion well against something like Cassante or even Azir and Samira, at Thresh that want to dash on top of you. You can just deny so much, and then with a good angle, do a lot of unexpected damage. I think people sometimes don't realize how much damage Poppy has, and also with her shield can poke also quite a bit. She's a bit of a jack of all trades in lane, and I think it's going to be somewhat of a skill matchup, although Poppy has the tools to counter a lot of Cassante's kit here.
And that's true, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how he handles it. We've seen some monstrous Poppies, to be honest. I don't remember who it was. It was at some point Poppy picked on the top lane. And at first, Rashad and I looked at the build and we were like, what is going on here? He made a build where essentially he had permanently a huge shield on himself. I don't think it was Bowser. He did play Poppy during this bit, but you can do a bunch of funky stuff if you'd like to do that with Poppy. But we'll see how it goes for those different matchups on the different lanes, because I'm being told that the game is ready. So I would say, without any further ado, let's head into the third and potential last game of tonight of Union des Ombres versus Red Lions. Let's go to the Summoner's Rift. Here we are. Into the Summoner's Rift. The champions are being summoned in their fountains, and the players are ready to rumble here.
We have some pings going out from Union des Ombres to go to top lane this time around, trying to secure these early leads to get a better chance at this very high stakes game.
Yes, definitely want to take all the chances they can, and with a pick like a Thrash, you have the early game hook. This can secure a kill. Unfortunately, Bowser sees them coming early on, and no one is able to step back ahead.
Now once again they profit from spotting all of them out on the top lane to get a ward on that red buff of Union des Ombres. So they're going to know exactly where the Talia is going to start. And we have seen that Tundra Rookie will use that information to his advantage.
And so the most important aspect of a jungler in the early game is information. Because essentially, when you're playing jungle, right, you're doing this sort of race with the enemy jungler. You're racing for your clear, you're racing to get first in the lane for a proper gank, you're racing to get first to the objectives. And if you know where your opponent is in that race, and he does not, well, you can change course in order to take advantage of that. The good jungler, like Tundra Rookie has shown to be over the course of this best of 5 series, can do a whole lot with that information.
Yeah,
Red Lions pick up the level 2 first in this bot lane matchup, keep the pressure going, and already show that this Azrael pick will be quite an annoyance for Jean-Phil and Fire here.
Samira struggling a bit with range in that early game, and Azrael being able to often people play him maybe a bit passively, but a good Azrael player will use his passive and his Q range to get a lot of advantages in that early.
Yeah, he does so quite well, as we just saw. You can see both junglers clearing their way towards the bot lane. Cutman being slightly ahead here in his clear. could prove quite important. We can see, yeah, top lane. You don't have much difference from the previous games. Bowser is definitely here in a stronger position. Takes the fact that his champion is also quite good against Visante to heart and just puts the pressure right off the bat once again. Yes, Gutman coming in towards the mid lane.
Which was quite an unexpected turn here.
We have an counter here in the river from Tonaruki and Cutman. Cutman taking a lot of damage from Milieu joining in. Puts some damage out on Tonaruki. Is forced to flash away to not get taunted here from Amaterasu. Joined up with his jungler. The situation with that is diffused.
But there we see the information is key. Tonaruki just being able to wait there.
In the meantime, on the bot lane, we have an engage between the two. Jean-Phil now fully stacked, has to be careful, even though he has the conqueror, because Ziki full life decides to go for the kill. Albeit the barrier being dropped down, we have a lot of flash going out. First blood goes to Ito, and the return kill comes to Cutman against Ziki.
Both playing this really well, but Cutman maybe a few seconds late there. We will see in the replay.
Yeah, the flash games around the bushes that saved Jean-Phil for a tad bit longer, which made the difference because of that, Ziki didn't get the kill, and that's important.
Yes.
We once again have an action-packed game here. We missed this kill here on the top lane. There's a tower dive happening against Matsuru. The stun is going to land, and Bowser picks up this kill without breaking a sweat.
Tonaruki being there more as a mental support. Because Poppy could handle that quite well by herself.
Ooh.
Now Ziki in trouble.
Ziki a bit in trouble, was a bit far ahead, and even the Arcane Shift is not going to save him from Jean-Phil, who was just onto him here. Once that happens, there is no way of escaping. Gutman takes the opportunity to go for that Drake. Ziki is out of the picture.
Yeah, and Tonaruki also took the grubs already off screen, probably.
Yes, so we know we can go for the cross-map play here.
And Matze here is struggling quite a lot versus Bowser, not really being able to get any damage in. Oh.
I was gonna say, Captain playing with fire here, getting really low from that Drake. Wouldn't have been too much effort to step back just a tad bit so the aggro goes on fire, but I guess he survived in the end, which is good. All calculated.
Yeah, maybe not the game to be testing your limits like that.
Yeah.
But it worked out in the end, so...
Yes, it did.
Also, Milieu doing
Milieu
quite a lot
goes
of
in.
damage.
Yeah. I was gonna say, he's got that whole poach thing going on. If Amaterasu wants to get some farm, he's gonna have trouble, because Milieu can just poke him for free. And that can turn sour. In the end he survives, but he's gonna have a rough time, I think, here in the mid lane.
Yeah, once Azir starts picking up some items. But the same goes for Galio, he will get more magic resist as the game progresses, so maybe it will be okay in the end. Right now he's keeping up quite well with the farm.
Yes, you've gotta give him that. And he has been level 6 for a while now, which means that the opportunity, if the opportunity presents itself for him to use his ultimate to join up a fight and turn the tides on something, he can really start to have an impact. Tonaruki coming in with the Ghost on the bot lane. Exhaust being put out on Jean-Phil, but the Lantern is just right there. He is level 6. I saw that Pyroclast is on cooldown, but seems to have been interrupted probably by the wind wall. In the meantime, on the mid lane, we have Melio dying as we have Bowser who came down from the top lane. That's 2 kills in the pockets of Red Lion so far. Situation still is a bit tenuous as Cutman stays around the corner. Maybe was hoping to find some purchase on Amaterasu, but didn't in the end.
I gave a bit of time to Matsuhiro to farm up. I think he got a plate up there. If it's going to make a big difference against Poppy is to be seen. But at least he doesn't fall too behind in that matchup.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to fall too far behind here. Bowser now did. Ooh, no! That's what I call a good catch. Coming in, true shot barrage. Melia flashes here to dodge it, although I think he would have been safe without.
But sometimes better safe than sorry with the hitboxes, you never know.
Absolutely, I have to absolutely agree with that here. Very nicely played here from Matsuhiro, pulling Bowser down under the turret, getting stopped here, of course, by the W, but he goes for it. This is his opportunity to take back control in this lane now that he's in the all-out form. But he doesn't find purchase on Bowser here.
Yeah, it's so hard to engage on a Poppy.
Here comes the wall, goes on to him. W is out to get the extra resistance here. Nobody dies in the end. Bowser shows that no, he is the boss on this top lane here. 5th and 6th Void Crop being picked up by Tundra Rookie in the meantime. And this time around, things are much more clear-cut in Red Lion's favor once again. It's their 2k gold ahead, and Tundra Rookie once again is able to set quite the pace here.
No, but I also think most lanes are quite at a disadvantage in this early game without support from the jungle. And the only one that has a bit of a easier time is Azir with his range against Galio.
Yeah. Tundra Rookie just walks in order to maybe get the Pyroclast out. Has to be careful here because the poke of Cutman is quite dangerous. He flashes in to get the shutdown here. That's enough. Amaterasu now in range is a bit late to the party to save his jungler, unfortunately. And Melio comes, of course, with that. It's a 2-in-1 package between the two players. Ooh, very nice interrupt of the engage here with the Emperor's Divide. TP coming in for Matsuhiro. Shutdown against Bowser as Red Lion slips up here on the top lane. Yeah, why not? Both flashes out on the bot lane here, but at least they get the kill.
Probably had the W on cooldown there, and the flash couldn't save him.
Now, second trigger of the game being taken by Tundra Rookie, who is not faced by the fact that he died on the top lane here, and still keeps control of those objectives. I'm taking the 2 Void grubs at the start, now the second Drake, equalizing with Vinon des Ombres on that level.
And those 6 Void Grubs can be so dangerous once you pick up Baron. You have so much push potential. Yeah. And I think there will also be a bit of a issue on Union des Ombres side to de-push those Baron waves, because the AP champions will deal less damage and Zamira is not going to be able to clear them all that fast.
Yes, that's true. They do lack a little bit here on that level. I was going to say Amaterasu maybe getting caught, but he doesn't care about AP damage, right?
Giving those grubs could be detrimental once Baron is up.
As we saw in the previous game. Bowser now taking quite a beating from Matsuhiro, who's in the used ultimate. Has to fall back because without it he does not have enough damage. Probably made a very nice pushes Amaterasu into the turret with the Emperor's Divide.
Not a flash down.
Ooh, Cutman now getting caught here by Tundra Rook. Is it gonna be enough? With the dot, no, he survives this, but they keep the push going. One good skill shot here, and he's down. That's a kill going to Bowser on Matsuhiro. And what I want to bounce back on what you said about the Void Grabs. But they kept doing funky stuff left and right, and they seem to be creepy doing that. We saw it in the previous game, right? With Baron being up for Red Lions at the end, they had the Void Grabs. So many small Void Mittens that just started spawning and charging onto the things is so threatening.
And I've also had a game today where we had actually 6 void grubs, and the game was just once you get a push in and you catch one person, it's so easy to finish that game off because of the void mites spawning in such big quantities when you have 6 of like the buff with 6 void grubs.
Yeah. It's quite an important objective. Ziki picks up a kill on Jean-Phil here on the bot lane. Let's get really comfortable. I mean, he's got a almost 30 CS gold CS lead, which of course gives him quite a lot of money.
And I think it's also just a lane that Samira does not want to be stuck with, but I also don't see her wanting to face anyone on Red Lion's side, to be fair.
Yeah, they took this early lead and they kept the lead. They've even embellished it. They have a 3k gold lead by now. So slowly but surely trying to build it up and further that lead towards a victory, of course. A very important game. It is match point for them. Defending their spot in first division against Union des Ombres, second place of the second division regular season. So there's quite a lot riding on this game.
Innocent also playing this game probably a lot more comfortably. We didn't see the kill right now here.
Maybe not on the mid lane. Yeah, the kills keep falling here. And on the bot lane we also had a fight, so it's just so much fighting going on that when there's a fight you don't know where to look at. Very nice flash from Belio here, dodging the Q. Keeps pressure onto Amaterasu. Is able to get away, but barely. In the meantime we have a turret falling on the mid lane here with the Herald Tandaruki onto it. Ziki did die in the process, however. Thanks to the Herald here, dodges the hook, of course. Fania doesn't get away with the ticks of that dot.
And I think this is again a game where Melio might have a lot on his shoulders, because it's the only one on Union des Ombres that I see that could make a big game deciding play, because as you have mentioned, Samira will have such a rough time accessing the backline with the picks from Red Lions. And Azir here scaling into the late game might be able to do something, but is also right now not really in the position.
Hardman looking to catch Ziki here, but dies in the end. It currently, Union des Ombres, they just don't have the stats. Maybe on the top lane, Matsuru can get the kill on Bowser here with quite a few TPs coming in. Nope, keep his verdict. Says, get away.
Yeah, the Poppy just doesn't need to take fights she doesn't want to. If she sees that she's not winning the fight, she can just easily disengage it and reset to her liking. Very tough for Matsuhiro again in that top lane.
Yes. And Red Lions still keep the pressure up, slowly but surely still widening the gap between the two teams. Almost a 5k gold lead by now. Pressure on the mid lane, that Ziki keeps on going.
And this is of course ideal here for Ziki. That can poke and then just siege the turrets with the void drops.
Yeah, and there's not much that Zone can do against that push coming in from him. Cutman forced to flash away here. It is not going to finish him off, of course, with that Janna pick, but now that the rest of Red Lions has joined up, keep pushing them away. And look at that, they put pressure on that turret on the mid lane, with the Ezreal, with the poke, with the void mites. And then they just keep the pressure in the jungle because, okay, there's nothing to push here, we go into the jungle, push you away. Top laner turret, that's a small snack. They're currently in absolute control of this game.
Yeah, and they're also showing, unlike last game where Union des Ombres had a lead at some point and kept taking fights that were maybe not ideal, they really pick and choose when they want to go in or when they want to get out. And that's also enabled by their draft here. The Poppy and the Galio just kind of controlling the fights really well. And then also Tundra Rookie just having a good read on the map and catching off Cutman quite often. And Ziki just going for the solo kill.
Yeah, absolutely monstrous. The damage that he put out here. He is such a threat. And I mean, it's deserved. Look at how far ahead he is in CS compared to everybody else. I'd want to be ahead in stats as well with that. We have the taunt that barely lands here on Melia, but it's enough to put some damage out on him. And indeed by now that they've got some items, the tides seem to have a bit changed between this Galio and this Azir here. As Amaterasu can just start putting pressure. Okay, I'll just get the taunt and then put some damage. I don't care, I have magic resistance, you don't do much to me either way.
Yeah, having to first poke through this massive
look at
magic
that.
shield.
Look at that.
Not doing any damage.
It's not budging, he does whatever he wants.
Oh, again the taunt barely landing there.
Meantime, Zeki going for the double kill here along with Eto. And it's just a repeating scenario what is going on here. Only that every single time Red Lions encroaches closer and closer to Union des Ombres space. The gold lead, by the way, which I mentioned just I feel like seconds ago to be about 4k, is now at 7k. Very nice. Good reactions from Jean-Philly, who survives, but maybe his support is gonna die in his stead.
This should actually be the death of every ADC, but Ziki can just walk into the base without any worries at all.
Ooh, very well played from Cutman with Jean-Philly as they pick up the shutdown money off of the Ezreal player from Red Lions. Union des Ombres with that window might be looking to defend that inhib, but it's still gonna be tough and it's taken down by Tundra Rookie with Vector.
Tundra just tagged at the nearest one time and does so much damage as well as slowing her. With the Ryla is completed now.
Oh, but look at that! Picks up that kill as if it's nothing with the Pyroclast. Yeah, fine, in the middle of them is going to use the cage here. Rookie taking a lot of damage from Joffin, but getting CC'd by Bowser. And with Aether's Monsoon, they're able to push the enemies back, get some healing in. They're still up. And Union des Ombres' engage has been counteracted. Matsuri comes in with the all-out, takes Rookie in the middle of his team. but Todoroki's damage is just too big. Now we have the Heroes entrance coming in from Amaterasu, and the tides change. It's a 4v4, 4v1 by now, with members of UDO being taken down left and right, and it's an ace for Red Lions.
Now, Cutman last stand, 4v1.
Yes, and now the pressure is climbing. First, a Nexus turret having been taken down by Red Lions. Cutman dies in a matter of seconds. Look at Ziki's damage, completely insane. He takes out fire now. Jean-Phil might have respawned, but 1v3, is he going to be able to do much? He takes down Todoroki off to a good start, but it's not enough. And with that, Red Lions defend their spot in First Division, as Union des Ombres tries to go for a last stand, but it's all in vain. And with that, it is a clean 3-0 victory from Red Lions in this relegation matchup. They saved their spot in First Division for the next season.
And I think that's probably a lot of pressure off their shoulders. They can look forward to the next season, having their spot secured. Of course, now Union des Ombres has to fight for these promotion matches again next season.
Yeah, because they still have their spot in Second Division, of course. They'll still be able to compete in there and have a chance to climb up in the next season. And it's really good. Now, either way, pressure's off of both teams. There's nothing to play for in this season left for them. They can now simply enjoy the show, watch how Rift Riders goes against Hitman Lee on Thursday, because that's the second relegation matchup that we have coming up for this season here, this League of Legends season. And yeah, I think it's going to be definitely very interesting. We've had some banger matchups still today. Red Lions did win 3-0, which is quite a show of power. But there were some moments, especially in the second games, where I could have given my soul to Union des Ombres to take the win there. I mean, the early to mid late game with that Jhin were absolutely flawless. So, you know, there's still that to play off of. In the end, Red Lions did manage the third game quite well, though.
And I also believe the draft was a bit of an issue here in the last game. And if you weren't able to prepare 100% against your opponents, not maybe following the other division, or also because it was very, very fast. But yeah, they still showed they have some fire in them, and they might be able to challenge that spot next year once again.
Yes, definitely. Now, time for a break, reassemble and prepare for the next season of the Post Esports Masters, hopefully, to maybe then get a shot at First Division. Now, I'd say in the end, 3 games made the deal for Red Lions to keep them in safety. We'll be back on Thursday for the next relegation matchup. Rift Riders, first of Second Division, and Hitman Lee, last of First Division, to see if they're able to defend their spot like Red Lions did, or if Red Riders will be able to do the upset and they themselves grab that spot. Raku, it was a pleasure having you here on stream with me for this relegation matchup. I hope you've enjoyed yourself as well.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. A bit nervous at the start, but settled in quite nicely. It was a blast casting those games alongside you, and I will also be looking forward to enjoy the next game from the viewer perspective, as I believe Krisi should be joining you as a Division 2 caster, and I'm really excited to see you on Thursday.
Yes, well, it will be a pleasure to have you amongst the viewers. In any case, for the other viewers who are now viewers, definitely tune in on Thursday, same time as today, for the second matchup of the relegation games. Now, before I leave it at that, I would like, in the name of the Pulse Esports Masters, like to thank our sponsors, namely Samsung, Kia, and Plume. And now, without any further ado, we will be seeing